Howdy, my name is Grace Light, and today I'm going to be giving my PowerPoint presentation over human resource management and nonprofit organization. Here's a list of my table of contents that I'll be discussing my PowerPoint presentation over. I'll introduce and give my thesis. I'll talk about key challenges in HR. I'll define strategic HR management. I'll give basic technique structure and HR best practices. I'll talk about an actual nonprofit organization, the Church of the Living God. Then I'll give my conclusion and a list of references. Today we live in a competitive work environment with more potential employees and volunteers offering their hopeful employer a resume exhibiting higher education's specific job skill knowledge, along with lots of job-related experience. With everyone offering more qualities and higher education, the job market has become much more competitive, making the selection and hiring process very critical for any human resource department. The Human Resource Department is responsible for the hiring, recruiting, screening, and selecting the proper people to help successfully operate and represent the nonprofit organization with the utmost excellence. Many of us know that for any nonprofit organization, their main purpose is to serve the community or to serve those in a particular realm they are trying to reach out to. Having a strong HR department will only benefit the organization by staying up to date on new laws, policies, and federal regulations, which is a must in order to operate a successful and legitimate nonprofit organization. The Human Resource Management will make sure all employees and volunteers are informed with federal updates as well as dealing with personnel issues. The purpose of this paper is to understand important personnel issues of HR, define HR management strategies, review basic techniques, key challenges for HR, effective HR practices, and research an actual nonprofit organization using these practices. Some of the key challenges for HR, one of the main ones to address is staffing appropriately. In order for the nonprofit organization to accomplish this task, they need to address 6 personnel issues or key challenges. Here's a list of the 6 key challenges they need: assessing personnel needs, recruiting personnel, screening personnel, selecting and hiring personnel, orienting new employees to the organization, and deciding compensation issues are very important for HR to address. Peter F. Drucker, in Managing the Nonprofit Organization, stated, "The yield from the human resource really determines the organization's performance, and that decides by the basic people decisions, whom we hire and whom we fire, where we place people, and whom we promote. The quality of these human decisions largely determines whether the organization is being run seriously, whether its mission, its values, and its objectives are real and meaningful to people rather than just public relations and rhetoric." Some more key challenges. It is important to fill all positions, whether paid or volunteer workers, appropriately, who are willing to take on the job at a nonprofit organization. A good way to do this is explicit written job descriptions that will communicate what the job expectations are for the position. According to Breton, strategic human resource management is the process of linking the human resource function with the strategic objectives of the organization in order to improve performance. So here's the definition of strategic HR management. In long-term planning of human resource management, it is important that the human resource policies and practices are linked with the strategic objectives of the nonprofit organization. Basic technique structures. A way to gain an advantage amongst other competitors is the nonprofit organization needs to make sure that their strategic human resource management is a continuous activity that requires a constant adjustment of 3 major interdependent poles: the values of senior management, the environment, and the resources available. This can be understood through a basic technique, triangular structure of the importance of management, environment, and resources all play in human resources. Author John Bratton 2007 illustrated the importance of strategic management with the 3 traditional poles of strategic management. And that is where I got the quote from, was John Bratton. In this figure, you can get a clear understanding of the 3 traditional poles of a strategic plan. As you see at the top, you've got the senior management, and then drop down from it, you've got environment on the left and resources on the right. It's very important for all of this to stay in continuous adjustment amongst each other so that it supports the senior management. It's very important that you have a flourishing environment, and it's very important that you have available resources. Basic technique structure. In the figure 1 illustration, this allowed me to understand how the senior management, environment, and the resources must always be in sync with each other, along with adjusting accordingly in order to attain superior performance. These basic techniques are central for effective implementation of HR management. Now we're going to talk about human resource best practices. Developing a systematic strategy practice that will help in saving time and money with recruitment, hiring selection, and staff retention programs will help to benefit the human resource management and lead to better long-term outcomes. Watson and Abzug, 2010. Building an effective human resource culture is the key to long-term success, as the 2 authors mentioned. As we know, human resource not only plays a significant role in staffing, but they also deal with staff directly and the personnel of the nonprofit organization. One of the best practices HRs can do is putting people first. That's a good motto. You, as a nonprofit organization, you are there for the people, and it is ran by the people. It is good for the nonprofit organization to establish and deliver their mission statement. Most staffs are attracted to nonprofits because they are motivated by their organization's mission. Another key practice for HR is encouraging and promoting diversity and gender differences amongst all staff, paid and volunteer workers. The nonprofit organization must practice in upholding every policy and procedure in legal and lawful manner. According to Watson and Abzug, many nonprofit managers are unfamiliar with certain legislative statutes, and the consequences of decisions that violate the law can be dire, particularly for smaller organizations without the resources to engage in lawsuits or absorb fines. This is a practice or process the human resource system needs to become familiar with and well-versed with all existing laws for policy and procedures in order to run a successful and legitimate nonprofit organization. One of the nonprofit organizations that I want to talk about is the Church of the Living God. It was founded January 26, 1976 in Galveston, Texas by Reverend Robert Earl Dowdy Sr. The current pastor now is Trey Dowdy and his wife Marlo. They took over this church, Pastor Trey and Marlo took over the church in January 2011. Pastor Trey and his wife Marlo decided to put into place a strategic plan in order to help rebuild and reorganize the Church of the Living God. Pastor Trey and his wife Marlo decided to put into place a strategic plan in order to rebuild and reorganize the Church of the Living God. One way they did this was establishing a web page for the church so members can visit and listen to podcasts on the website from services they were not able to attend. The Church of the Living God is very personal for me because my grandfather, Reverend Robert Dowdy, actually founded the church, and the current pastor now is my brother. Pastor Trey and Marlo understood how important it was to utilize social media to help outreach to everyone that they can. This is why they also established a Facebook and a Twitter page to help keep up to date and to stay current with the technology changes. Here is an actual photo from that I snagged or took off their Facebook page. This was from February 20th. It says check out the latest message here, and you can click on that, and it talks about change. And I'm taking it that it talks from the verse or the chapter Luke 3. As Pastor Trey and Marlowe are head of the HR management and leadership of the church, they did some staffing, moving around positions, and created new positions for the church to help build and motivate the congregation, along with utilizing current members to help reach out to the Galveston community. They really wanted to engage with their congregation, and a way of doing this is reaching out, getting involved with the church, with different programs and different ministries. Pastor Trey Dowdy is aware of the legal rules and regulations with successfully running the church. He and his wife Marlo make sure they stay up to date with all the laws, especially with the IRS and tax information in case of an audit. In the beginning, they had legal counsel. Our late father, my father passed away in 2012. He was an attorney, and he helped make sure that they were up to date with all the technicalities and the legal law stuff to successfully run the church. Pastor Trey and Marlo, their mission statement on their website is, "Our deepest desire is to experience Jesus and allow our lives to be transformed by this gospel. May our church be a place where you can encounter the love of God in Galveston." This is taken off their website. This is something that they are very compelled and very compassionate about. One of the slogans that the Church of the Living God has always had, it's been established, is "Jesus has a miracle for you." Here are some pictures of Pastor Trey. At the bottom, that is my grandfather, the founder of the Church of the Living God. Pastor Trey is with his congregation, which is very important to engage and to communicate, especially in nonprofit organizations. He's the one with the black shirt on, and then you can see him preaching at the podium in front of the church. And then at the bottom is an actual sign in Galveston that's right out in front of the church, and it has their website listed on that sign. In conclusion, as a graduate student at Texas A&M University, I am pursuing my master's in human resource development. Thus, this is why I felt this topic over human resource management and the nonprofit organization was a perfect topic for me to research and write a review paper over. The purpose of this paper was to examine the importance of having an established human resource management in a nonprofit organization. It is important for the nonprofit organization to know important personnel issues, the definition of human resource management strategies, basic HR techniques, and key challenges for effective HR practices for a successful operative organization. That was my PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for listening. Here's a list of my references in case any of you want to do further research on human resource management in a nonprofit organization. Thank you again.